special night because it's the first time Efrat Alima will be speaking to us. For those of you who aren't familiar, Efrat is our rebbitzin at Webb Street at the Wellington Hebrew Congregation. And Efrat has chosen a topic that she finds very stimulating and she hopes will make you think. And just want to give you an outline. Next week we have another movie night with Giacomo Liffner. It's a movie Vavi about an Ethiopian boy that grows up in Israel. And then Efrat will speak again a few weeks following that. So this is the first of Efrat's 2 lectures. So thank you very much. We'll have a break, I think, at about 7:40. We'll have a break for 10 minutes, and then we'll go again for another hour. Thank you.
I have some handouts. Do you have enough? I chose this topic because I like to fight. Yeah. Actually, as a rabbi's wife, I give lectures everywhere, and people like to ask me about these topics. And one of the myths that is common in our community is that people like to say that Judaism is a non-democratical religion. And when I've been in university, actually I took a class of Judaism and democracy, and I couldn't believe how many principles from democracy are taken from Judaism. So today I collected a few principles that we can work on it. And if you can look at the source number 1, what's a myth? Somebody would like to read it for us?
A traditional story, especially one concerning the early history of people, or explaining a natural or social phenomenon, and typically involving supernatural beings or events, such as ancient Celtic myths and the heroes of the Greek myths.
So this is definitely not our issue, because we're not going to talk about the Greeks today. But you can just go to, I think, number 4. Yes.
Exaggerated or idealized conception of a personal faith. The book is a scholarly study of the Churchill myth.
And after that, we have what Sir Winston Churchill said: democracy is the worst form of government except for all those other that has been tried. So we don't have to accept that democracy is the best kind of a government that we want, but this is what we have, and we have to deal with it. So there is a discussion between the sages, between the Chachamim and the rabbis, a very old discussion if they should have a king or not. This is one of the forms of government. And the Rambam says that this is a mitzvah, you have to have a king, and there is a few mitzvot, how to nominate a king, what he should do, what he shouldn't do. But the Torah says, you know, that if you have a king, he will take your horses, he will take your money, he will take your daughters and sons to be slaves, and he will take everything you have. And you have to agree to anything he says. So this is what the Torah says. And the first time we see that there is a king, it's in the book of Samuel when they said, you know, we had enough, we want a king. Hashem is not happy with it, but he said, that's what you want, okay. I'll give you a king, and King Saul was the first king that was nominated. But some of the sages said this depends on the will of the people. If the people want it, then you can have it. If you don't want it, so you don't have to. So it's a decision, actually, of the people. It's not Hashem decides. It's a decision of you. So if you want, there is laws, there is mitzvot. If you don't want, then there's something else. And we can see during the years that they didn't have king all the time. Okay, so do you think the Torah is for or against democracy? Not just democracy, to decide for your own sake. So the first pasuk that talks about how Hashem gives the opportunity to others to decide is in Genesis, and you can see in source number 3. This was number 3. ויאמר אלוהים נעשה אדם בצלמנו כדמותנו. You have the English version. And God said, let us make a man in our image. So when he says our image, to whom he talks, and God said, to whom he talks? I'm asking you.
Well, I like to think it's the male and female aspects of God. Some commentators say it's the angels. And Ramban also thinks it's the female and male aspects of him.
Okay, that's one explanation.
If I may. In the case of Russian emperor, the last Tsar of Russia, he was saying, we, Nicholas II. He was sort of writing from himself, not from I, Nicholas II, but we, Nicholas II. So maybe it's the same case here.
It's not only in the Russian Tsar, also the kings of England used to refer to them as us.
Well,
So it's a usual thing for a ruler. Also, if you look at the Hebrew, Naaseh is not necessarily plural. Naaseh is also used as there shall be.
But he says Betzalmenu kedmutenu. So Betzalmenu kedmutenu is not singular, is plural. So he talks to somebody, and he says we should do an image. Sorry?
Is he thinking out loud?
Thinking
with all
out loud.
the different attributes of God, like I don't know that we know that Hashem is Hashem, but it's also Elohim. It's all the different aspects of manifestation. That's
So,
yeah.
sorry. So Rashi says, Rabbi Shlomo Yitzhaki from France, says that he was consulting with the angels, like you said. He was consulting with the angels. Does Hashem needs to consult with the angels? He's the creator. He's the one that decides for everything. So he needs to consult with somebody? No. But from here, we learn that Hashem, he does consult, and we learned one of the midot of Hashem, the values of modesty and humbleness. Yeah. So he doesn't have to consult with anybody if we believe, and I believe, that what Hashem decides is true. So if he decides that black is white and white is black, this is what he decides. But Hashem created us a mind, so we can think. So I can think, okay, something is not precise here. But in the few next Psalms, we see that at the end, Hashem creates the man as he wants. But from here, the Torah doesn't say anything that is not necessary. So from here, the Torah wants to teach us that Hashem is humble, Hashem is shalom, in modesty. During if you read the Bible, you see that Hashem consults the prophets, and he gives them a choice. And we won't talk today about the free choice, but Hashem gives the free choice to the man to choose this or this. And he tells him what will happen if he chooses this or that. But in the end, it's a free choice. Hashem tries to guide us. That's why he gave us the Torah, the laws. So he tries to guide us, and he expects us to follow what is written in the Torah. But still, it's our choice to do what we want to do. We can see in Exodus, and this is source number 5, when they started to build the tabernacle. It's written, ויאמר משה אל בני ישראל, ראו, קרא השם בשם בצלאל בן אורי בן חור. And Moses said unto the children of Israel, see that the Lord hath called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri and son of Hur of the tribes. So the verb see, re'u, the Gemara in Masechet Brachot says there is a discussion between Hashem and Moshe, and between him and the people. So there is in number 5, there is a discussion in the Gemara. So who wants to read it for us? Please. So let's get full of myself.
This rabbi
Yes.
said, we must not appoint a leader over a community without first consulting it. As it says, see, the Lord hath called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri. The Holy One, blessed be he, said to Moses, do you consider Bezalel suitable? He replied, Sovereign of the universe, if thou thinkest him suitable, surely I must also. Said God to him, all the same, go and consult them. He went and asked Israel, do you consider Bezalel suitable? They replied, if the Holy One, blessed be he, and you consider him suitable, surely we must.
Thank you. So there is a discussion here between Hashem and Moshe about choosing Bezalel ben Uri to be the consultant to build the tabernacle. And Rabbi Yitzchak says you can't choose a leader unless the public, the people, agree that he will be the leader. So you need the permission of the public. So what's the connection? So, because Bezalel is just a consultant, he's not a leader, Moshe is the leader. But we can learn here that if to build a tabernacle, the house of God, that he knows the whole the details because he tells them how to build a tabernacle. There is the whole details are, you can see it in the Chumash. So if Hashem gives them the plan already, and he just needs to do what he says, and still they negotiate if to choose Bezalel ben Uri or not to choose Bezalel ben Uri. And Moshe comes to Hashem and he said, why do you need to consult? This is your choice. And he said, no, go to the people and consult them. So it's not just that he consulting Moshe. Go to the people and consult them. Now, Hashem is the creator. He doesn't need to consult anybody, but he gives the opportunity to the people, to the nation, to have an opinion with the leader, although he's not the leader. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Bezalel was appointed artist, right?
Yeah.
For the Mishkan. But other people could also participate by bringing their things and they help him. But we have a few chapters later an incident where some men are upset that they also want to give Yeah, exactly. They also want to give service of God to be like the priests and to give an offering. The priests were not nominated by democracy. They were nominated from the top down. And and even today that right persists. You can't just say, I want to be a Kohen. You have to be born a Kohen.
the Kohanim first, the one that was supposed to be Kohanim was the firstborn. That was the first choice of Hashem. We still have to remember that although we have a democracy, Hashem is still the creator. It's like you have a president, or you have here a prime minister, and you still have the queen, that she can put a veto. So Hashem can put a veto and he decides, but he gives. It's not that he gives, and we will see. Judaism is not a democracy, but there is principles of democracy in Judaism. And so we were talking about Korach and Adato, and he was, but what Korach did was, when he spoke, he said, I think I'm better than Moshe. I'm a real Kohen. I'm a Kohen. I should be instead of Moshe. But when he spoke not from all his heart. It's not that he had the passion to be the Kohen, and he had the passion to work in the tabernacle. It was pride. Now his wife tried to, not his wife, I forgot his name. His wife saved him. He was from the gang of Korach, and she saved him. She was really, really wise, and that's connected to our next topic. And so she took off her ponytail and she took her hair out, and then the people that came to call him, you should come with us, couldn't come because she was unmodest, and she saved him, so he didn't come. But Korach and all his families and the children and everybody was punished, and what they were, yeah.
Is it because of the golden calf that God was so upset at people of Israel that he wanted actually to start all over again from Moses, that he chose Kohanim from the house of Moses? No, that's not the reason.
This is a different topic because Moshe was already a Kohen and his children were Kohanim already. So that was a different topic. Yes.
You just said that Judaism is not a democracy. No, I thought that the whole point of this talk was that Judaism is a democracy.
No.
Okay. So Judaism is not a democracy.
No, the myth is that Judaism. The myth is that you don't have a. Many people comes to me because I am married to a rabbi. Then they think I'm a rabbi too, but no. But they say, "Oh, you're not democratical. You are not giving equal rights and everything." And
so you agree. Judaism, you just said, Judaism is not a democracy.
The myth is true, but not completely.
Okay.
Because there is principles that was taken from Judaism.
Okay.
Because in my belief, Judaism is the ancient religion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what is happening here is that God consults with the people only to make them feel better. Because, sorry, I'm being the devil's advocate.
That's fine.
My role.
That's fine.
Because they're not actually saying, yeah, we like him, he's okay. But they don't say that. What they're saying is that if you think that they're saying if according to the translation, according to the Mishnah, if you think it's okay, surely it is okay. So it's a little bit like communism, You can't actually stand up and say, no, this is not right, because you know that it's not a very good thing for you. Hence, Korach.
Hashem decided that Bezalel will be nominated, but he consulted Moshe.
Why?
Moshe asked him, "What do you ask me if you decided already?" So
just to make you feel better about it.
Okay, that's what you think, and it's okay. It's okay. But as a leader, Moshe was the leader. First, I said that everything that is written in the Torah comes to teach us something. Okay? So, as a leader of the people, Moshe was chosen, and by Hashem, he was not nominated by anybody else because they were slaves and they were really busy with something else. So, does Moshe knows the human being then more than Hashem? No, because Hashem knows everything. He can see what I'm thinking now, just right now. That's how I believe. But he still insists that Moshe will agree and will console the nation. Now, if they would say, okay, Bezalel is not for us, so maybe Hashem will say, okay, well, let's choose somebody else. But the people said, okay, like they said when they received the Torah, Na'aseh v'nishma, whatever you say,
So
we should
basically,
do.
you're saying they had the opportunity to propose another name, but Bezalel, but they did not. So
But
basically,
the
to have the
nation
choice,
agrees and
to have the choice to propose another name, but the one that God
Otherwise,
proposed
why
is a freedom in itself.
But it's
otherwise,
not choice.
but otherwise, why Hashem will say to him, console the nation?
Well, I don't know why, but I can give you an example, so that afterwards he can say, but I asked
But
you,
the
and
fact
you said
is-
it was okay, so
but
what's the
the-
matter with you now?
The fact is, the fact is, black and white, that they accepted it. They
Yeah, but
accepted
you don't know
it.
why.
But if Hashem is the teacher of all teachers,
They knew that they will accept it.
and he's trying to teach something, whatever that something is,
Why Bezalel?
It's
Uh,
the principle.
it's the principle of you might end up doing what you end up doing, as we all do in our life. We know what the answer is often before we've asked the question, but we are being taught to consult for a whole variety of reasons. And I don't have a great problem.
But the Chiddush here is when you want to make something new. The Chiddush here, because till now, everything was written for them. Whatever Hashem said, they had to do. Okay? So now the Chiddush is that Hashem consulted. Ayelet said, what if? I don't know what if. I can't be instead of the people, but what if they would say no? Probably not. Otherwise, Hashem would not consult them. That's what I think.
Is there a precedent for a case where the opposite happened and the people actually disagreed with
Yeah, with the king, later on in Shmuel.
Moses.
No, but,
God said you don't want the king.
but even when
He
they wanted
said-
a king, Hashem was not happy, but
No.
they had a king.
I
King
know.
Saul.
God said, you don't want the king is going to do this and this and this, and indeed he did.
So the power is put into the people's hands.
The other thing is, if God is almighty and omnipotent, omniscient, he knew what the answer would be before he asked him.
But
That's
even
another
but
argument.
but you can
Ask
say
him.
the same
argument.
thing.
He
Why
asked
ask
him.
him? Because he knows the answer already. Why are you
But that's
asking?
another argument.
But you can say the same thing, and we're not going to talk about it about free choice.
Exactly.
Yes,
I'm not
It's
going to
to
talk
do
about
with
free choice.
democracy is to do with free choice.
He'll learn.
Maybe he
As
just,
a-
maybe he just gives us opportunities to trust in him and to like
To understand why.
to understand and to like grow in what he gives us.
No, but
Basically, to understand why Bezalel, if he chose Bezalel, that's for a good reason. So why is it the best reason to consider Bezalel and to agree, oh yeah, you're right, that's the best choice.
First, whatever Hashem chooses for us is good.
Yeah, I know, but
Sometimes you don't know that
yeah,
yet.
the people of Israel had to learn it.
They had to learn it, but the Chiddush and the rabbis, not me. The rabbi said, the Chiddush is that Hashem insisted, because Moshe told him, what do you need to ask me if you decided? He insisted, no, I'm consulting you, and you go and you consult the people. And then Ayelet asked, right, she asked what if, but they don't try it because the end of the story, they accepted it, and that's all. So this is one thing that we've learned, and I want to talk about argument. We call it machloket l'shem shamayim. So when you argue, but for
The sake of heaven.
the sake of heaven. And we just need to say about halakha, how you do the halakha, the rabbis are poskim halakha, how they decided about halakha. Everybody can say what they think, everybody, but we still need to know that you have to have the knowledge, you have to study to know exactly what's the halakha and what changes you can make with the halakha. So it just reminds me when we spoke about Aguna, for example, and how we can change it. And I just thought to myself, listen, we don't know enough. The ones that learned and knows enough is the rabbis, but not every rabbi. Even, and I won't speak a bad word about my husband, but he is a rabbi, but he's not great enough to make such a big changes. Big changes is with big rabbis, like Moshe, like Rav Moshe Feinstein, like people, we call it Gdolei Hador. Rashi, okay, Rambam. These kinds of rabbis, or the rabbis that are talking in the Gemara, because they have the knowledge. It's not that I'm saying my husband doesn't have the knowledge, but I'm talking about great rabbis, okay? Tell my husband that I said he's great, okay? So, everybody can say their opinion. Academy people, politicians, people from the streets, everybody should say their opinion and should ask questions. Because religion is not a matter of, okay, it's written like this, shut your mouth and do whatever you said. No. I educate my children to ask questions and have doubts, but to have research too, to find the truth. And I guide them, I try to guide them. And, sorry? Yes.
Question. What about slaves?
Yes, slaves. Okay.
What about them?
Well, do you ask them? Well, do you ask slaves? If you ask slaves, then as slaves, they're free to speak.
But slaves?
You talk about
slaves
slavery in Judaism?
Sorry?
Jewish slaves are not slaves for life.
But even then,
Unless they choose to be.
was Eliezer a slave?
Eliezer,
Eliezer.
he was not Jewish. He was from Damascus. So the Torah treats non-Jewish slave differently. I don't know a lot about it, so I don't have all the answers.
But the reason I asked the question is because Eliezer was empowered to make decisions on behalf of Abraham.
But about Jewish
Not
slaves,
a minor one.
I'm sorry?
Not a minor one. To
okay,
pick up
the
they
wife.
are very
To
major
pick up the
ones.
wife.
Pick a wife that from here they will establish the nation of Israel. It's a very big issue.
So what you're saying is, if slavery exists, that must negate the principles of democracy, because as soon as you acknowledge slaves exist, they don't have the same rights as everyone else.
The
But
prisoners have the same
even-
rights as everybody else?
Even in Judaism,
The prisoners, wasn't they?
a slave
Slaves,
gets
because he's not.
get the choice to get free in a certain. Sorry.
No.
After a few years, I think in 7 years under Shemitah, so he gets the choice to leave his master. If he wants to stay and be with his master and continue, then there is a process. He needs to go to the mezuzah, and they make a hole in his ear, and then they say something, and it's a sign that he chose to be a slave. Now, halakha, there is a lot of halachot about slaves, but sometimes slavery is a punishment. So if you did something wrong, so the court, the Sanhedrin in those times, gave you the punishment to be a slave, and then, yes, you don't have rights like everybody else. You did something wrong. If you chose to be a slave, it was your choice to be a slave. So, yes.
I think there are some cases where women don't have a voice, which is worse than slaves, because that's 50% of the population have no voice.
This is our second part of the shiur. We're going to talk about it too. So, let's read source number 6, please. There is some source number 6, Mishnah Masechet Avot. Mishnah Avot. Gary wants to read it for us?
Yes.
You're a good reader. Norman.
I like the discussion.
Then why don't you open them up?
Yeah.
Every controversy that is in the name of heaven, the end thereof is destined to result in something permanent. But one that is not in the name of heaven, the end thereof is not destined to result in something
מחלוקת לשם שמיים. So we said already that everybody can talk about their opinion and say what they think. But we still, they talk about pure intention. So when you ask a question, do you come only for the argument? Or you come because you say what you say because it's for Shamayim, for heaven's sake, because you want to make a change, you want to do something. Because some people come just, to make a fight. And I said, I like to fight. So, joking. So, does the person that comes and asks and do the argument, he comes because of tikkun olam, because he wants to fix something, he wants to make the world better, or he comes only for the argument? And there is a lot of people that comes only for the argument.
But there's room for both.
Yeah, this is democracy, the freedom of speech. And everybody can talk, but you don't have to listen to them.
So the question is, in today's society, I was just speaking about this yesterday with my old professor, racist talk is not permissible in open society. But if society was democratic, we would allow all sorts of talk in the open space.
No, because that wouldn't be true democracy.
Yeah, because
Why is racist not?
We talk about mahloket, argument.
Right, or
okay?
debates. Yes, so
Yeah.
if you're saying any argument is valid in open space,
If
well,
it's-
actually not any argument.
If it's for heaven's sake, so if we take the issue of racism, for example, and want to talk about it, so yes, we can talk about it. Listen, even in the Sanhedrin, not everybody agreed with everybody. We'll see in a minute a story what happened to a rabbi that used not only, I think Daniel, you know this story from the Rosh Hashanah maybe. Not even, he didn't use only his mind and his argument. He brought with him proofs because he could do things, unnatural proof. And we'll see what happened to him at the end. So we don't have to agree with them. You can listen. If they hurt people, yes. But the whole point of 120 people of Sanhedrin, that there is, we say, כשם I will say in Hebrew and then I'll translate, כשם שפרצופיהם שונים דעותיהם שונות. Their faces are different, their mind, their opinions are different too. So everybody has different opinion. What I think is not the same as you think. But that's how society exists.
Can I ask you to repeat what you said? You said that you talked with your professor and you agreed that discussion about racism is not acceptable?
No. Well, the question is, today racist speech is subject to punishment.
No, it isn't.
Censorship, and if people say racist comments, they can be fined and dismissed from their positions.
No, they can't be fined for making racist comments. They can be fined for making inflammatory. But if somebody says something to me like a dirty Jew, they can't be fined for that.
Yes, but
I can take them to court.
if a newspaper calls you a dirty Jew, the newspaper
But
will
this
be
is not
slammed.
mahloket for L'Shem Shamayim.
Sorry, I can take them to court, but no. They won't be, there is no law against.
There is law.
There
You can't
is.
Against
newspapers.
racist comments.
Excuse me.
There are laws against racist actions, not
And
against
comments.
racist.
If you have a
Fire
newspaper
in the
calling
field.
someone a dirty
It's the
Jew,
same kind
Yeah.
of
it's
principle.
illegal. They could get fined.
Who will?
The paper.
Yeah, that's a different type
That
of
is
freedom
not
that
a
we're talking
law.
about.
These are regulations that govern the use of public media.
If
Well,
I
what is
stand
the
up in a
reason?
public forum and
Yeah.
I say,
move on.
No, I don't think so.
Our issue is not racism.
No.
Sorry, our issue is not racism, although it's very interesting. Our issue is machloket leshem shamayim, argument for heaven's sake. And what's an argument for heaven's sake? That both sides give their opinions, but to change something for tikkun olam. For example, a argument of Hillel and Shammai. We all know that Hillel was one of the great sages, and Shammai was one of them, of the great sages, the rabbis, and they had a lot of, they have agreements all the time, but usually halacha was as Bet Hillel. And they still, Mishnah says, they still got married between them, and in the end of the day, they shake their hands, and they were great friends. So this is machloket l'shem shamayim, because whatever they did is for heaven's sake. It's not just to show, okay, I'm good, I know, I have the knowledge, or I think that if I will bring my opinion, I will, איילת תעזרי רגע בתרגום, אני אעלה במדרגות הקדושה.
Rise up in the stairs.
Yeah. So it's not only for his.
It's not about
him. It's about Hashem. It's about the community that he is represent. So at the end of the day, Hillel and Shammai were great friends, and we know that today, nowadays, in those days, halacha was as Bet Hillel. When the Mashiach will come, and the generation will be, what can I say? Yeah, halacha will be as Bet Shammai because we can accept it. We can do it. It can be done. It will be easier. So both halacha as Bet Shammai and halacha as Bet Hillel are right. But there was a decision, and the decision said Bet Hillel. It's not that Hashem decided Bet Hillel. There was an argument, and there was like a vote or something. And so we spoke about the כשם שפרצופיהם שונים דעותיהם שונות. We spoke about how your face is different, your mind is different, and that Hashem created it in the beginning in purpose, because he could do that. Everybody will think the same, and everybody will do the same, but the world will be very, very boring. And then if people do the same, people won't work for tikkun olam. So the whole purpose of the olam, the creation of the olam, will be missed. So this is the principle of machloket l'shem shamayim. So we can have arguments, and we have a decision. And so my next principle is achareva bimlatot. So you decide according to the majority. And the story that I was talking about Tanuah shel Achmai, you can read it. So I have it in Hebrew and in English. English is source number 7. It's a little bit long, but it is a very, very interesting story. So I can tell it shortly, or if you would like to read it. Do we have time?
Yes, we have time because we started late.
Okay, so do you want to read it, or I'll tell it shortly?
Read it now. I can read it now. Okay, well, we can take turns.
Okay.
Number 7. On that day, Rabbi Eliezer used all the arguments in the world. He produced powerful arguments to justify his position that the oven should be considered unreconstructed and not susceptible to ritual impurity. We talk about an actual oven, yeah?
It was a matter of kashering an oven. They were discussing about an oven, yes.
Sand
it's going to be in it. The sages did not accept his arguments and insisted that the oven was susceptible to ritual impurity. After Rabbi Eliezer saw that he was not able to persuade his colleagues with logical arguments, he said to them, "If the halacha is in accordance with me, let this carob tree prove it." The carob tree immediately uprooted itself and moved 100 cubits, some say 400 cubits, from its original place. The sages said to him, "Proof cannot be brought from a carob tree." Rabbi Eliezer then said to the sages, "If halacha is in accordance with me, let the channel of water prove it." The channel of water immediately flowed backward against the direction in which it usually flowed. The sages said to him, Proof cannot be brought from a channel of water either. Rabbi Eliezer then said to the sages, if the halacha is in accordance with me, let the wall of the house of study prove it. The walls of the house of study were leaned and were about to fall. Rabbi Yehoshua, one of Rabbi Eliezer's chief opponents among the sages, rebuked the fallen walls, saying to them, if Talmudic scholars argue with one another in their discussions about halakha, what business is it of yours? The walls did not fall down out of respect for Rabbi Yehoshua, nor did they straighten out of respect for Rabbi Eliezer. Indeed, those walls still remain leaning to this day. Rabbi Eliezer then said to the sages, if halakha is in accordance with me, let it be proved directly from heaven. Suddenly a heavenly voice went forth and said to the sages, why are you disputing with Rabbi Eliezer? The halakha is in accordance with him in all circumstances. Rabbi Yehoshua rose to his feet and quoted a portion of a verse, Deuteronomy, saying, the Torah is not in heaven. Next reader.
Just a second. So you all understand the argument here? So he used, Rabbi Eliezer was, just to tell you, he was a very knowledgeable rabbi, and very respectable rabbi, and everybody, sorry?
He was Bet Shammai.
Yes, and he was Bet Shammai, and he was the one that said that, in Masechet Avot, he said, I take everything from my rabbi and I never change. And he said, halakha is like me. Whatever I said is the truth, and he brought a natural proof from heaven, and heaven cooperated with him. And we can see that even heaven, so-called Hashem, Hashem said, you should listen to Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer is right. But Rabbi Yehoshua came to him and said, oh, the Torah is not in heaven now. You gave it to us. So now it's us to discuss it, not the heaven and not his helpers. So let's see what
have a progress between when he consulted Moses, who consulted Israel, and whereas now with Rabbi Eliezer, it's not just consultation; they make the decisions.
Let me ask you a question. Sorry, no, this was what you said. Let me ask you a question. Today, if we have an argument like this, could a rabbi come and say, "Oh, Hashem, you're not right," and start to argue with Hashem?
It depends who the rabbi is.
Yeah.
Depends who the rabbi is. Yes, you're right. So, Rabbi Yehoshua was the Av Beit Din. He was the head of the court, and he comes and he has the nerve to say to Hashem, the Torah is not in heaven. So the discussion is here among us, and you'll see what Hashem says in the end. Really nice. So let's continue with the Rabbi Yirmiyah.
Rabbi Jeremiah said in reply, since God already gave the Torah to the Jewish people in Mount Sinai, we no longer pay attention to heavenly voices that attempted to be in matters of heart. For you, God already wrote in the Torah at Mount Sinai, after the majority to incline. From this verse we learn that halakhic disputes must be resolved by majority votes of rabbis. God cannot contradict his own decision to allow Torah questions to be decided by free faith.
So, Ayelet, does it answer your question about Bezalel Ben Uri? No, really, I'm not saying it
I have an
is.
issue with this.
Sorry?
I have an issue with this.
Yeah?
personally.
What's the issue?
I don't know the context of this phrase that they're quoting from Exodus, which is after the majority is informed. How do we learn that halakhic disputes are to be resolved by the majority of rabbis as opposed to the majority of the population? Why are rabbis supposed to be in authorities to be
Because they were
rabbis?
nominated
By who?
by the people. You have a judge of 3, a judge of 10, a judge of 100.
So in today's world, I
But
guess
we
in
don't
a
have
way,
Sanhedrin.
okay, yeah, so but then what gives the rabbis rights
Today?
to interpret law?
If we had a Sanhedrin today, and we had people on the
Supposed to be rabbis.
Sorry?
Aren't we all supposed to be rabbis? We are supposed to know the halacha and to argue possibly.
Knowing the halacha doesn't mean that you are a rabbi. I know the halacha, I'm not a rabbi. I don't know all the halacha.
But
We're supposed to know all the halacha and to be able to argue if we disagree, for example, that I don't know, any matter of halacha, we're supposed to have the knowledge to argue like Eliezer against the other rabbis.
Argument is not something that is not allowed, but
You're supposed to have the knowledge to convince other rabbis, like Rabbi Eliezer.
what I said in the beginning that we can ask questions, we can have doubts, but you have to remember, yes, if you are knowledgeable and you studied a lot and you study all the time and you were,
But that's what.
it is a little bit different from our times and their time. But of the days of the Gemara, the people, the simple people, not here, simple people, they didn't have all the arguments because the people that were, they were the leaders and they were, because they had courts and they had, there was a big Sanhedrin and a small Sanhedrin. So when the temple, when the Holy Temple was still exists, there was the 120 and the 23rd if they didn't have 23rd is Sanhedrin Kana, a small Sanhedrin. So when the times of the Sanhedrin, yes, there was debates and they made decisions. Like if I have an argument, halachically argument with you, we can argue. At the end of the day, the one that that is right is we go according to the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch give us all the rules.
But what gave them license to be the authority that decides?
It comes, how they gave the smicha is that a rabbi gave the smicha to his talmid, to his student, and so on. So
Rav Kara would have had smicha in that sense.
yeah, but I'm
So
talking.
he wouldn't have, this authority passed down the generation. What gave him the license to be the halakha authority? That's what I'm questioning.
Other rabbis agreed.
What Rabbi Karo did, he didn't decide about the halacha. What he did, he collected everything and made a book. Yeah.
Same with Rashi.
Rashi was an interpreter,
I know.
but he was a dayan. Sorry.
But I think the majority decision sometimes is not correct decision.
Huh? Right.
That's why you have in Sanhedrin. Sorry.
My 2 cents says the following. Unless I'm not right, there are 3 levels of Rabbanut. There's Yad and Yadin. There are 3 degrees. We assume that a Dayan, a judge, a local community, certainly has the 2nd, if not the 3rd degree. Then, one of the other methods of choosing people who could be Gadol Hador, the personality of the generation, comes from the respect given to the other rabbis in terms of their knowledge. It's not a question of not knowing someone else's capabilities, because very often they study together, and quite often, certainly in Europe, and not even in Europe, but in Levant, they used to write one to another in various cities asking for their opinions on particular subject matter. So it's the inner circle.
So that I agree with you to the most, for the most part, but then you have examples like the Rambam, Maimonides,
Yes.
who most of the rabbis of his time totally rejected and burned as a
Yeah,
false.
because his approach was quite
It was only
the
later on
rabbis
that
did not study Plato or Socrates, and the Rambam did. I mean, he was a universalist.
But we in a way, there's the only thing that this is an historical discussion. The question nowadays is, can we have a Sanhedrin? No. Do we have attempts to change halakha to various degrees or another? Yes. There's even this thing of a court of 100 in the
But
States.
it's not me that comes to change the halacha. The one that changed the halacha, that has the power to change the halacha.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
that's the claim for today. why the rabbis, sorry that I'm interrupting you, why the rabbis, the old great rabbi, Rabbi Ovadia and Rabbi Elioshiv and Rabbi
Lots of great
Kanievsky and all of them, why they're not gathering together to make a Sanhedrin and make the change. But me as Efrat Alima, a very simple person, I can say, okay, I decide that Shabbat, we need to change the Shabbat and we need to change the time. I can't do it. Even if all of you will agree with me and we will be the majority here.
But you can propose it and try to
So,
convince the
but
rabbi.
people come to the rabbi and ask questions. The Hasidim comes to the rabbi and ask questions. What can we do? And he, by the authority of...
But it's only his own circle.
Yeah, that's the problem today. We don't have Sanhedrin. We don't have this high court that they used to have in those days. But in those days, they had meetings, they had discussions, and I'm just reading about this time of the Amoraim and Tanaim and Saboim, whatever, that, yes, like you said, they had a small court of the city. For example, Tzipori was one of the cities that they have the small court. So they have a small court. They have the bigger court, and then have the Lishkat HaGazi. They have, when it was Beit HaMikdash, in Jerusalem in the Holy Temple. And they had a big court there. So, like today, we have a small court, and if it's not, you can go to a different court, and then you go to Bagatz. In Israel, you go to Bagatz. So, you go to the big court. So they had it. But the principle is always, even in a small court or a big court, but it needs to be not that just people from the streets. You and I, and I'm not saying that you're smart people or not knowledgeable, but it's not you and I and Mr. B.
But before, yes, right? Because with Michel, we studied in Paris that we were studying who is liable for Averot. So is it because you decide, the rabbis decided one rule, and then you follow the rule, and if the rule is wrong, as you have in, I think it's Maseret Sanhedrin, you have rules that have been changed, and after 1 week they agreed that, oh, this decision was wrong, and they did something else. But during this week, someone may have followed the previous rule, so who was liable? The Sanhedrin or the person who did the thing that had been changed? And that was the person himself, because the person was supposed to have the knowledge to go in front of the Sanhedrin, challenge their position, and convince them that that was wrong, because that's what another person did 1 week later, and they changed the halacha. But today, because we have no more Sanhedrin to convince anyone, we have no one to, but we are still supposed to study the Torah and to have the level of these huge rabbis.
But even you're right. But even a rabbi, even us, it's not that we are so great, but we have questions and we don't know everything. We consult our rabbi that is. Of course I'm consulting my husband, but when Rabbi Alima doesn't know something, of course he studies, but he consults his rabbi, and his rabbi may be knowledgeable more than him. Today, for our... But we're very sorry, but we don't have the Sanhedrin, we don't have the Holy Temple, and we have to pray that we will have it again, and then can make we can make this huge decisions. But that's why I was thinking about Abuna, because I would like to change it, that it would be different, but we, as simple people, we don't have the power to change it, because there is no high court like we used to have in those times. That's a minus. That's a minus to our society, and we should do something.
Are we in a good moment to have a break now?
Yes, I almost finished.
Okay.
Almost finished my topic,
Great.
so we can move to the next topic. But the end was that Hashem. They write that Hashem smiled and say, my sons won. Yeah, sorry?
My children have outsmarted me.
Yeah, my children are smarter than me, they won. That's the Gemara. The Gemara ends up with it. They won. My children won. So, Hashem do give the chance to people to decide for themselves.
Can we finish reading the paragraph? Does someone want to finish the last one?
Yes, please. Who wants to finish?
I've been nominated. The Gemara relates that generations later, Rabbi Natan met the prophet Eliyahu. Several of the Talmudic sages had visions of Eliyahu the prophet and discussed enough questions with him. Rabbi Natan asked Eliyahu about the debate between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua. He said to him, "What did the Holy One, blessed be He, do at the time when Rabbi Yeshua refused to hear the heavenly voice?" In reply, Eliyahu said to Rabbi Natan, "God smiled and said, 'My sons have defeated me, my sons have defeated me.' God's sons defeated him with their arguments. Rabbi Yeshua was correct in his intention that a view confirmed by a majority vote must be accepted, even where God himself holds the opposite.
So, just to conclude what we've learned today together, and I really like the end, even Hashem had a sense of humor. I really liked it. So, we've learned that Judaism is not a democracy. It's not. There is one God, and He decides, but He gives the ability to the people to decide for themselves. Not if we have Shabbat or we don't have Shabbat, or we cancel kosher, or we do kosher, not cancel. No, but like a small debate, like halachot, that like I gave now. He gives the opportunity to people to decide, and He gives the people to decide if they want a leader or they don't want a leader. They want a king or they don't want a king. So the decision.
How is that defined? I mean, where's the line between where God has the exclusive right to say this is the law, you can't change it, and things that we can change?
Because He gives you a big book of laws. So there is a book of laws. But you know that everything that is written in the Torah, there is lots of interpretations.
Yeah, that's my point. I mean, even Shabbat, I mean, what does it say? It says keep the Shabbat and make it holy. What does that mean? Where's
So
right,
that's,
so where's that?
but that's why you have Shulchan Aruch, and you can have a lot of arguments.
But I'm saying in theory, the majority, let's say you had a Sunday Jew today, they could decide that what it says in the Torah about Shabbat can be interpreted to mean have a nice meal and drink lots of alcohol, and that's it. Don't you go to shul?
They could change it.
Yeah, they could.
They change it. We learn it from the Rosh Hashanah, from the last story that we've heard. The Torah now is, but there is guidelines, and there is borders. There is borders. Boundaries. Sorry, boundaries. There is boundaries. And I said, Judaism is not democracy, but there is principles from the democracy that actually they took it from us, that we use in our lives. But we have to pray that Mashiach will come. We'll have the third holy temple. We have Sanhedrin, and then we can make these changes, and we can still debate.
We can vote.
Thank you very much for the first half. We're going to have a break now until 8 o'clock. Please order some dessert, order some more drinks, order dinner for those of you who came late. Thank you very much.
Really, if you are not going to keep the papers, just if you can bring it back. Okay, so the next topic I'm going to talk about is a bit controversial. Sorry, it's my call him. Call him.
Come in. Come in.
Hello.
Enter.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Hello.
Sarah.
You'll be asked questions in a minute, so sit down.
Yes.
Last year, I've been asked to talk in a conference about women's rights in Judaism according to the Orthodox way. And I've been accused that we are discriminate women. We, the Orthodox, discriminate women. And I have to say that some of the things, I wouldn't use the word discriminate, but some of the things, yes, we need to have a little progress in saying it unorthodox. But, so I'm going to talk about one of the myths is that Judaism is a chauvinist religion. And I'm going to break it.
It's not a myth. It's not a myth, it is.
I'm going to break it, and I'm going to show you, that it's not true. Yes, we need to have a progress. And the thing that I'm standing here and talking in front of you, this is a progress, because in those days a woman couldn't talk except one woman that we're going to talk about her today, Gloria. So we're going to talk about Gloria today. Miriam was a prophet. So she sang. I'm going to talk about a woman, Talmidat Chacham, a woman scholar. So Miriam, yes, she was a great woman. And she, without her, we wouldn't have water in the desert. Yes, Martin?
I had to go and move my cow.
That's fine.
You have to come back.
Get a woman to do it.
If you want it done well.
So just to begin, I would say that Judaism is not is not on women's right or men's right. According to Judaism, there is an equality, and it's not even an issue to have an argument about, because, and that's not my words, but I a bit agree with that. Man has his own responsibilities, and a woman has her own responsibilities, and it's a little bit different. Even scientists, and I read it, but I didn't bring it here, so you cannot believe me. So, but even scientists said, and I just read it when I researched this topic about how the brain of a woman is
Superior.
Of course, we are superior. We are superior.
You're being recorded.
No, there is a joke. There is a joke. Why Hashem created the woman the second, and he said first it was a client, then he did the
mirror, and then
yeah. So, but that's just a joke. No, seriously, we are different. We have a different jobs. We have different minds. We think different, and any woman will agree with me that we think different.
Six things at once, and the man can do one thing.
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
And to talk about the status of women in Judaism is like to talk what's the role of a table and what's the role of a chair. Why don't they have the same role? Because this was created for something and this was created for something. And this has a different role than the table. But they go together. And it's written, I will say in Hebrew, then I'll translate that, Ish ve'isha, zachu shchina b'neim, lo zachu esh ochalta. What does it mean? First, Ish is Aleph Yud Shin. Isha, Aleph Shin Yud, Aleph Shin Hey. It's almost the same letters in Hebrew. What the difference is, please have a seat.
I have somebody in the car. I can't come in and they won't come in. So you'll have to call me when you're ready. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's okay, Martin.
We're waiting for Act 3 now.
Where was I?
different letters.
Different letters, but if you take the Yud from the men and the Hey from the woman, it's Yud K. It's the name of God. So without God, third, how could I call it? Not third wheel, but the main wheel is without it, they can't get along. So the chair and the table get along together. And there is I have to first apologize because this lecture I have less sources in English because I couldn't find. So you have to come in my translation, but you have a get it here too. To supervise me. So there is a book titled Devei Eliyahu, and it was written about Deborah the prophet. And she was the judge of these days, and they said to me, why they nominated Deborah? Deborah was nominated as a judge. Why they nominated Deborah? There was lots of great people there that could lead the nation in those times. But they chose, Hashem chose Deborah to be the leader, and she was a prophet too. And the writer says, "Hakol lefi ha'maaseh shu oseh." Everything is like what he does. According to what he does, he deserves it. That's how I interpreted it. I'm sorry if my English is not so good. So, what Deborah did, that she had the honor to be the leader, and we didn't have lots of female leaders in those times. So we spoke about it a little bit about Miriam, but after that, we didn't see. So Deborah was married to Barak ben Lapidot. So Lapid is a torch. So why he was called like this? Because he was her husband was a really simple man. He was not a knowledgeable man. Maybe he was working in the field or something. He was not a very, very smart person, but he was still married to Deborah. She was a smart woman. And she said to him, go and make some, how do you call the thing that you have to the candles? The
Sticks.
wicks? Not the wax, the
Wicks.
wicks?
String.
Tilot.
Wicks.
Wicks, okay, thank you. Sorry. So go and make the tilot, the wicks, and give it to the holy temple, to the Kohanim. And if her meaning was that she will send him to be with the right people. So if he will be with the right people, maybe he will gain Olam Haba. And next word, he won't get influence from bad people. Because she was very busy to lead the people, so she couldn't supervise her husband. So she sent him to be with a good company, with the good people. And Sefer Mishlei says, Proverbs? Thank you. So it's written, Chochmat Nashim Banta Beita. A woman built her house, not physically, with her wisdom. So what she did, she used her wisdom to build her house. Sorry? Her home. Her home, sorry. Yeah, household. So that's big. So her special role is, except being a judge and a leader, she had a home, she had a house, she had a household, she had a household. And because she was so wise, that's why she got the honor to be a leader. Because if she can take care of her household like she did, she can take care of the whole nation, the big house. And the Chafetz Chaim, he used to say that Am Israel is like soldiers in the battlefield. And every battlefield, every combat has a different role. So there is the Air Force, and there is the Navy, and there is parachuters, and everybody. And so can you say that the Navy is more important than the Air Force? No, because we can't manage without the Navy, and we can't manage without the Air Force. We can't manage without a man, and we can't manage without a woman. So both of them are important. that's why this rabbi that I was quoting, his name is Yechiel, that is from nowadays, I just read his article, he says that that's why there is no a point of discussion who is better, who is, why there is no equality. And Rabbeinu Bechaye, different issue, Rabbeinu Bechaye treats the woman like Michlal Ha'enoshi. Thank you very much, Rabbeinu Bechaye. He says, the woman is part of the human race. When I read it, I was smiling to myself. I was like, thank you very much that I'm not among the animals or... but it's Rabbeinu Bechaye. It's still Rabbeinu Bechaye. So what does it mean? He said that if you're looking at the depth of what he said and the continuancy, he says that if you look at the women in the Bible, you see that their donation to what we are now is huge. Because, for example, we mentioned Miriam. Without Miriam, there was no water. Miriam's well. Abigail. Everybody knows who was Abigail? Abigail was a prophet, one of the prophetess, and she was the wife of King David. But before that, she was married to a not nice person that his name was Nabal. Actually, tomorrow's lesson, Bible lesson is about Abigail. So if you want to join, women, sorry, you can join. So she was married to Nabal, and the story is that David comes and he wants to get his money because he was protecting his household while he was celebrating and cutting the sheep's wool. So he comes and he wants to take the money, and Nabal is laughing at him and said, "Who are you?" Not everybody knows that King David was already nominated to be a king. So he said, "Who are you that you are coming and asking me money? I deserve to be a king more than you." He knew that he was something. Because I'm more royal than you. You are just the son of Ben Ishai. His mother was a convert. Your mother was a convert, and he refused to pay him money. So, of course, King David he had a very strong temper, and he wanted to fight and kill him. And then Abigail, that was really, really smart, comes to him and she says to him, "Do you want the blood of my husband on your hands?" Does the king, the one that's supposed to be a king, wants a blood on his hands in the first of his days of ruling? And because of, and he said, "You know what, you're right." And he stopped himself. And that's the prophecy of Abigail, actually, that because of what she did, she, the interpreter said that she helped King David to continue what was supposed to be and go on the line that he was supposed to go. Otherwise, if you go this way and kill Nabal, then there will be problems. I need to drink. Yes, we need to put some water. So we talk about Abigail, we talk about Miriam, and Hannah. Hannah, the wife, thank you. Hannah, the wife of Elkanah. From Hannah we learn about how to pray. Everybody knows the story about Hannah, or should I repeat it? Sorry? The mother of Samuel. From her we learn about Tfilah. From Hannah we learn about Tfilah. So these women and lots of her, Queen Esther, and the prophetess Huldah, and Sarah, and Rivka, all our mothers, all of them, without them, we were not here. So they gave a great donation, just a contribute to being to us being a nation, yes.
So not denying that there were no important Jewish women, still the most important communal roles. For example, the Sanhedrin did not accept women as their right? So this is a huge thing. Why can't women be part of the Sanhedrin?
Because that's what you said with Deborah. She was not fulfilling her role as a mother, which is probably more important.
No, I didn't say that. I said that she was
No,
only,
that she was
chosen
had a
because she
hope.
was a wise woman, and
Yeah.
because she helped her building her household, she could do what she does for everybody. But what he's saying about
that's the reason.
what he's saying about it, I'm going to talk about it in a short, in a few minutes, about if women can testify. So Sanhedrin is not just what we spoke about arguing. It's about testifying. For example, how did they how did they decide about the calendar, the Jewish year? You had to testify that you saw the moon, and then you go to the high court, you run to the high court and say you. So everything is about testimony. So they say. So one of the myths. Isha, a woman, can't testify.
Because not for everything. A woman can testify to some things, but only very few. Not only that.
So I was
Can you rewind? What did you say?
So it's written. It's written that a woman cannot testify. So a testimony, according to what a woman says, is not counted. It's not counted. That's very annoying.
Yes, it is.
It is. That's very annoying.
Why? And the reason is?
Okay, let's talk about it. So when you read it on the chat,
If you want to believe that, you can.
but when you read it on the chat, what you just read, yes, it's very, very annoying. I can speak to you now, but I can't testify. So if I saw that somebody stole my husband's car, I can't say to the court, okay, I saw that somebody stole my husband's car. That's not true. A woman can testify, and actually sometimes the rabbi were only counted on what the woman said. For example, if something happened and only a woman saw it, yes, a woman can testify because there is no other witnesses around. So a woman can testify. But the reason that they give is not everybody will accept what they said is no, just before that. In Kiddushin, for example, or in the Inyan of Sotah, everybody know what is Isha Sotah? When a husband claimed that his wife did an adultery and she was unfaithful, a woman can testify that she was faithful, and she knows that she didn't do what he claimed that she did,
She had to drink.
and the court will accept it.
After drinking.
I thought they forced it on her.
No, this is before Alima married, before the water. The water is after after nobody claims that it's
There are
untrue.
no witnesses.
There's no witnesses, or nobody claims that it's untrue.
Also,
Then
if
the
you have no
water,
witnesses, but she says, I haven't done it, then it's not counted.
Yes.
And she
so the
doesn't-
water will prove that she did or she didn't do it.
It's like witches, if you die, then you're not a witch. And if you don't die, then obviously you are a witch and we need to kill you.
You know what the price of it's not connected, but you know what the price of a woman that was claimed that she did an adultery and it's proven after she drank from the water, she's not.
She's died.
All her sons know. If she's not, if
I
she didn't
she's
sin,
not.
Correct.
And he's punished.
her sons. I'm talking about the woman. I don't care about. He doesn't deserve her, but I'm talking about the woman. Her sons and daughters will be great people. Yes.
Question.
Yes.
In Orthodox Judaism, can Sorry?
Modern.
Yes.
Modern Orthodoxy, you mean?
Don't make it take even
Nowadays, or in biblical times.
Whatever.
Let us speak.
Can women
He's
touch
only a man.
Can women touch Torah?
Yes, of course, I touched the Torah many times.
In front of me.
No.
Yes, I took it. My husband gave it to me on Simchat Torah to dance with the Torah. You're not
Yes.
allowed to dance in front of men.
And there's another myth is a woman who is
In her time.
yeah, in her time. Apparently, you have some belief that she's not allowed to touch the Sefer Torah or a mezuzah, and that's totally wrong. That's not true.
That's not true.
What a woman cannot read from the Torah on Shabbat if there is a man around who can do it.
Because of Kol Beisha.
No, not because of that.
Yes. Yeah, I can read the Torah in front of a woman. Now, if we do a minyan for women,
Yeah, and you can read the Torah.
I can read the Torah. I can't read because I can't sing it, but if we were, for example, there is a lot of minyanim of Kriyat Megillah in Kriyat Torah in Israel.
Women
and it's not women only, Orthodox.
Yeah, women
Yes.
only. But no, because a man can hear a woman talk. So okay, so we're not chanting, but just to read the Torah.
Just to let you know that if I was now in Israel, I wouldn't give a talk to the men. I got a very special permission to give a shiur to a mixed group,
And can we just go back to women's testimonies?
and I can tell you about it later.
That's something new for me.
Sorry.
So when can a woman testify and when can a woman not testify?
So she can testify, for example, about Aguna. If she knows that the husband is still alive, she has a proof, her testimony is accepted. They give examples. Aginut, so she said Aginut. There is a machlaka, there is an argument about Dinei Mamonot when we talk about money in Yerusha, heritage, anything that talks about money, there is a machlaka, there is an argument between the poskim, and some of them said that you can accept a woman's testimony, some of them said you can't.
The
And
ones who said you can, were they related to the woman? The children of the woman?
even if now two brothers come to testify, they are psulim, they are apostle. Two people that related to each other can't testify in the same trial. No, it's not, because maybe they talk to each other, maybe they decided before that, so they can't. So they don't. They. Sorry.
That wasn't quite my point.
Sorry, maybe I didn't understand what you said.
Efrat, just to go back to what you used, the example, I think originally about a woman can't testify going to see, to publicise the fact that there's a moon.
Yeah.
What's the reason?
I'll give you a general reason why they said first that a woman cannot testify, and you can agree or not agree with them. It's not my opinion, but the main reason, and I read it in a few places, that women should not testify because they take care of that all her honor will be at home. They say that some of the tribes are very vulgar, so they question the witnesses and they push them to the wall and they ask questions that they want a woman to avoid all this stuff. So they said that in some cases the Beit Din will send people to her house. She wouldn't have to stand in front of these people and be crucified instead of everybody, and they ask her lots of questions. So they come to her house. Of course, the husband is there, and they ask her question gently because they treat the woman as a very gentle and emotional person. I know that I knew that you
but
would
the
do
thing is
like
that
it.
even the thing of Kol Be'isha Erva, why?
This is a different
Why?
story.
No, I mean the Why can't men hear a woman?
I won't judge now. I want to hear
It's a different
why
topic. It's
a
a different
woman
story.
can't testify. I'm hearing stories everywhere and I can't follow it.
Right.
So I want to understand
Because the
why.
process of questioning her is too
challenging.
vulgar a process for a woman.
Okay.
Is
So
that the
They
answer?
said that a woman constantly. For example, okay, I'll give you the worst scenario. A woman that was raped, okay? I'll give you the worst scenario. And she needs to stand in front of the court and testify again and again and again and again of what happened to her.
This is an argument that we're still having today, by the way, and we now protect the women, and in such cases where they can testify, privately and outside the public court. So, I mean, this is what I'm trying to sort of tease out. We say because they're
As a victim is different, but as a witness, is it because a woman is too emotional and her testimony can change, or has that been said before?
Part of it, yes. But part of it because they want to protect the woman, not to be summoned to a court, and
So
if we-
can I ask now another
if we
question to the
continue to
group?
the
Is
end,
it to protect her
the
reputation?
last notion is a woman who can testify. I will
So
To
can,
protect her from the harsh realities of being
so
cross-examined about whether she saw it and what was she doing on the top of the hill and blah, blah, blah. Like,
Listen,
delicate
a man,
I shall.
so I just wanted to ask, what is wrong with that?
what?
What is wrong with some sort of protection of the woman?
I don't need anybody to protect
I-
me.
But maybe some
you do.
women.
And some men as well. But we all need protection.
But
All
the
men.
difference is
All men.
that the mitzvah to testify is on the man. So if, for example,
Why?
Why? Ask God.
But
If Frankie knows something, he saw something, and he doesn't say anything, he will get punishment.
yeah, I
of
know.
it.
That's
But
because
if I
women
saw
are different. Women are treated in a different way.
But if
in
I saw
Judaism.
it, because I'm sorry to say, most of the women, the majority of the women are more sensitive than men.
I think there's two ways to look at
So
it.
we should fight against
You can
it.
go and
Okay,
seek
you
as
can
many
fight
apologetic
with me.
answers
No,
as you
no,
want,
but
but
we-
I think the simple, what you said just now is the simple answer.
The simple,
Then
but the
the
simple
obligation
answer
is
that
on
I
men.
didn't,
Why?
I didn't try to tell
Why do we keep Shabbat? Why do we keep kosher?
No, no.
I mean,
Why are the obligations not equal? And to say chair and table is all very well.
Because
We know that we are different. But there are also similarities between men and women.
True,
And
but-
spirituality
That's because the
is
Torah
the
is
same.
it depends what you
But
believe.
it's
If you
not.
believe that there is a set of mandated rules from God, a creator,
Question?
Then you don't
he-
question it for
then
sure.
you don't question
I know,
it
but
because
I question.
God created A and
Yeah, I
B
know that.
Take
with
Torah
obligations for each set.
and read Torah. Why don't we invite women to come to the Bima and read Torah as well?
That's what I
for
get
the
it.
reason of Korvei Shayava.
By the way, how can she testify then?
It's not Kodesh.
So you tell me.
The reason is that if it's actually to avoid embarrassment.
That's
for
what
men.
I knew.
It's because that if the woman can read from the Torah and the man can't read from the Torah,
That's what
that's
I knew.
especially embarrassing for the men and for the Kehillah.
That's
And there are men that-
That's the reason I knew about that.
So isn't that chauvinism Mom is asking?
But if she's singing as well.
Isn't that a chauvinistic reason?
If you so badly want, if you so badly wants to read the
Yeah,
Torah,
you can.
you so badly wants to read
Yeah.
the Torah, why don't you do a woman's minyan and read the Torah? Do you need a man to hear you just to read the Torah?
What does it matter?
It is matter.
What that person has got, if you'll excuse me, under their belt, their head, their spiritual side, their heart is more common than different. And I want to work on the commonalities.
How do you justify being common? What's common?
The fact that you and I are sitting down here and talking about
Same.
things shows you that, we
What's
are,
common,
that
what's
there
the
is
same?
Well, it
commonality.
shows we have both the capacity to.
That's right, we have exactly.
But that doesn't mean we're spiritually the same.
Neither are you and sorry,
Norman.
True.
So, neither
Are you
Jackie or Efrat. We're not the same.
But there's bigger differences between us two than.
Testifying is a woman
Well, I consider a
equal to
physical
a child.
difference between
Have I read something like
So
that?
therefore-
What's the difference
Why would there not be a
Why does
spiritual
it
difference?
matter
If we can see a physical difference,
They don't
then we
speak,
can
you know,
assume
when
that
they
there must be
say,
spiritual.
Same with African American.
Okay, I had a question, because I think I remember.
You're also being recorded.
I know. I think I remember reading somewhere that a woman's testimony is equivalent to a testimony of a child. That was my question.
Thank
Wow.
you very
okay,
much.
okay, I will answer.
I
I will answer first. חירש, a deaf a person, שותה, a simple person, מים, אישה וקטן, קטן is a minor that didn't get it to 12 or 13 years, can't be acceptable in a court. That doesn't mean that they compare their brain, their mind, and they say, okay, a woman is, sorry to say, stupid, or she's inferior, or she can't think, and she's not smart enough to testify. They talk about the physical condition. A deaf person cannot testify because he can't hear well. A simple person causes condition, you know, you can't rely on his testimony. Katan, because he's a minor and he's still not he's not mature enough, so he can be very influenced. And a woman they don't say that a woman is stupid, that's why she can't testify.
A woman, what's the reason then?
The reason is what I said before, because they want to protect her. And yes, they say that a woman tends to be more emotional, and that's why she can change her testimony.
Can I ask though?
That's what they say. It's not my.
Where is that said?
I'll tell you exactly where it says.
Because I think, whenever you see controversial issues like
Just a second, I'll tell
Is
you
this the
exactly.
first PMT? This must be the first PMT.
what is it?
Premenstrual tension.
Well, in Venezuela, they put it in a different way, at least when I lived there. If you are pregnant and you're driving and you have an accident, it doesn't matter what happened, it's your fault. You're a woman and you're pregnant.
That's where was
In
Venezuela.
Venezuela, when I was there and I was pregnant, I learned about it.
when it's still the law? You think it's still the law in Venezuela
I
now?
wonder.
Yeah.
That's where
Because you
it's
see, I thought there are some things that actually Judaism was much miles ahead of any other society in those days. I mean, the fact that women can inherit land, the fact that the woman has rights, she can't be divorced against her will. All of these were very important then, and miles ahead of anything else at that time.
I just
Not
want
now.
to explore the thing about the obligation of the man to be a witness. Because
You know what we used to do?
maybe it's possible that the halakha wants to protect the woman from a situation where she has to be in a position that she is obligated to be a witness. In other words, that if the obligation on a man is to be a witness, then he can be, the implication is that he can be force himself to be in a position that he has to be a witness. Whereas you don't want to, maybe the halakha doesn't want to place a woman, force her to be in a position where she creates herself to be a witness.
Because how they interrogate the witnesses.
So what is the difference between a man and a woman?
I'm not talking about
He's talking about-
I'm talking about the situation that happened.
Yeah,
So if there is a situation,
yeah.
then and if the man is obligated to be a witness, maybe he has to put himself in a position where he can be a witness.
Yeah, why can't the woman do the same?
Because that she might have alternative obligations at that time.
Well, if she does, she does. If she doesn't, she doesn't.
No, but she has the obligation to be a witness, maybe, but she's also got an obligation for her children, for instance.
But if she doesn't have children, it doesn't say that a woman who has children and is too busy with children should be excused. No, it says a woman.
If she has to witness and she has to go to the mikveh, you can delay the mikveh, for example.
And you can delay, you know, everything, every obstacle can be sorted out. There's no need to do a note.
I'm not saying that's correct, I'm just saying...
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, that it is not correct.
Maybe it's to avoid where the woman has to put herself in a position that she has to be a witness.
You're trying to explain the unexplainable.
When it sounds to me a little bit that there's maybe a parallel between the fact that a woman should read the Torah because if they embarrass a man who can do it as well, and anything that a man can be a witness to, a woman shouldn't, because, you know, maybe there's a...
Why, men have got such a little ego that things like that will embarrass them? When the rabbi is standing there reading the Torah, doesn't it not embarrass the other men who can't do it?
Yeah, that's the reason why the rabbi reads the Torah.
Yeah, so why can't the woman read it?
Because each man that gets called the Torah by right should be reading it.
Right.
And some can and some can't.
Yeah.
So it's better that nobody reads it and the one person reads it.
Right, but why can't
that person not be a woman? But we are talking about reading the Torah, and we would be talking about reading the Torah in a minyan.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the men obviously make up the minyan, and women, it's not their
Yeah,
obligation.
Why?
Well, I mean, women can't do everything.
Tell me something.
Yeah.
Okay, you badly want to read the Torah and you badly want to be a chazan.
No, I didn't say that I badly want to.
No, I'm
saying
generally.
that,
You can't choose. You can't choose what you want. Like a man didn't choose. Hashem gave him a mitzvot, and he had to accept it.
Right.
You want to be equal to a man?
Yes.
You want to be equal? Okay. Do shalosh tefillot biyom. Put tefillin. Raise your children. Go to work. Not everybody can do it.
Well, I don't have to go to work. That's not an obligation.
But if you no, because a man has to support his family and has to provide food and shelter and money.
Right.
It's written on the ketubah and it's written on the Torah. So just a second, let me talk. So let me talk. I said I want to fight.
I've learned after 20 odd years.
But listen, because I really like it. But you want to be equal? Okay, so shalosh tefillot b'yom, 3 tefillot in a day. Put tefillin. The obligation to study Torah the whole day. Everybody, all the men should study Torah the whole day. Okay. What else?
Can you just do that again?
Sorry.
Can you just do that again for the photo?
That's all the obligation of the men, but again, and your obligation, so is keeping Taharat Mishpacha, is be responsible for all the laws of kashrut, because the woman usually, not always, usually works in the kitchen. Yes.
You can have a house husband and then he'll be responsible for the kashrut.
I love it. That's my
Essentially, you can compare it like if you look at an organization, you look at a business, you have a person responsible for role X and a person responsible for role Y. The person who's responsible for role Y shouldn't be in a situation where they should have to fulfill the obligations of role X, because that's going outside of their role of their job. And it's exactly the same thing. A woman has certain obligations and she needs to fulfill them. She shouldn't be in a situation where she should be witnessing the moon, because that's not her place.
Yeah.
She's got her other obligations. Why should she be
Like-
running around with
You
That's
are,
what the men are supposed to do.
you are different. Even if you want to accept Ayelet, we are different. We were born different. We were taken from his bone. We are different. So, yeah. No. We are different. Whatever you say, we are different. I don't feel like I'm like Frankie or my husband.
Right.
We think different. We do
That's
things.
right.
We have, for example, the sense of motherhood that the husband doesn't have. Sorry to say,
Sense
but
of
no.
motherhood.
Yeah, but
It's not motherhood.
it's not motherhood. I'm sorry.
I've never said that men and women are equal. I have not said
But
that.
you want equal.
But they
no.
can read the Torah.
Wait. No.
Sorry, I know that is.
It's not a new thing for me, you know. I've thought about it as well. For everything that you're talking about, every attribute of people, There are some attributes that are specific to women. There are some attributes that are specific to men, and they are biological in nature, right? A man cannot give birth. Okay? A man cannot breastfeed. So there are things mainly to do with reproduction that are different between men and women. But there is an awful lot that is common. Sure. And I am talking about that commonality. And reading the Torah and praying 3 times a day can fit in that commonality.
It's not that we can't do it. The proof for it that we can do it is Michal, the daughter of King Saul. But Michal was childless. That's why she used to study Torah. There is an exception in women because a very special situation. So when you have a feminine, I'm not talking about Rashi's daughters were scholars. Sorry, I'm sitting and studying Torah, and I have 5 children. Okay, but if I had to daven 3 times a day, study Torah all day, I think my children will hate me. I tell you what, because I would neglect them, because I have the obligation to, if Hashem gave me the obligation, I would have to study the whole day. I would have to provide. I would have to do this. And also what the women needs to do. There is not enough hours in the day to fulfill all of this. And you, and you can't choose, because if you want to be equal, take everything, not what you choose.
You're right. And women in the 20th century have done it exactly. Modern women are working and
look at their
raising
children.
children. But what you're...
Sorry. What about me? Why only 10 men, not just person? Why not?
Because they're not obligated. Women have no
So
obligation.
they're there. You count them. If they're there, you count them.
But you don't count women. You count only men, right?
Yes. Because the obligation is not on the women.
But it doesn't matter who's obliged to. The fact that they're
That's what
there.
matters.
You will
That's what
pick
the
up
whole
a
question is
person
about.
from the street who just happened to be Jewish but doesn't even know how to read and not count a woman who is a learned scholar.
I'm sorry,
Why?
it's not the
the
problem.
rules. I know it's the
You
rules.
have the head of, you have an employee, the cashier of the bank, for example, the guy at the counter. He cannot be liable in justice for the bank, but the CEO can. They both have 2 different jobs. You can't do one for another.
Benoit,
One is liable for
Benoit,
his things.
Benoit, you will ask a man off the street that knows nothing, and he will just stand there. His mind, his body, his mind, his heart, he will not understand what you're saying. He's not praying. He's just an empty shell.
And he
counts.
I have 2 answers. I have 2
Still
answers. First, that he's...
Sorry,
First, you have, where is the woman in this scheme?
Frustration.
Where is the woman in his scheme? That's this man.
if he's Jewish and he didn't do the 3 times a day prayer, and he didn't learn, when he comes to the next world, he will be judged on it. And you can't say, I didn't know, I didn't listen, I didn't hear about it.
Let's not get into that.
Rega.
Okay, so so the thing is now, I totally understand that frustration.
Not frustration. I'm going with my feet.
I totally understand that, and so what Benoit is talking about, the difference between capability and liability. Women are equally capable, but they are not equally liable.
I know that. But it doesn't answer your father's question.
Well, we're not
Yes, it does.
No, it does not.
Yes, it does.
No, it does
This
not.
is the definition of what a minion is.
A minion is only
Amen.
made.
It's a definition.
Yes, I know it's a definition, but why is
Some,
it?
it was decided.
But that definition discriminates against women.
Okay.
Because
Men
women
are
are
obligated to
capable.
pray.
Yes, it does.
Nobody said that women are capable. You want to pray? Why don't you do a minion of 3? Why do you have to be a part of a minion of a man? Why? What's
surely it's
so
mansplaining.
important?
I'd like to dispute that it's a
Sorry,
discrimination
a
against women.
million of women can't do everything that a million of men can.
No, they didn't say that a woman cannot do what a man can do.
Yeah, like when
You
I
want
pray
me
for million morning.
Sorry. For example, benching. You know when you do the benching before.
Don't count.
No, sorry. Women can bench and
I know that
can
they
do it
can.
for themselves, and even in the same meal.
I
I
know.
used to do it when I was in a boarding school. We used to do benching, and we used to pray 3 times a day, but I was a student. I didn't have children. Yes, you can. You're not obliged. You can.
I know that. But for example,
So it
the
doesn't
temple
make-
minion
The meaning that you're not
doesn't
obliged
answer
doesn't mean
that.
that you are incapable.
I know.
You can.
I know. But
Why
I
don't
don't
have to
count
do
the
dust
same. I don't do dust. I don't do.
Do I have still because I have 2 topics, or you tell me? I knew that we would never finish. That's why I took it in.
Can we talk about Shiloh, Sunny?
Okay, so
Sunny,
I have to stop.
you back.
Let's vote. אחרי רבים להטות. So let's vote what you want to do. I have 2 topics. One is that say that a woman's mind is נשים דעתם קלה. Help me. Woman's mind is light. But actually they said that woman is not so smart.
Flirty.
Or
Flighty.
you want to talk about
Flighty.
ברוך שלא עשני אישה.
Yeah, second one.
What was the topic?
What about?
ברוך שלא עשני אישה. It's one of the ברכות השחר.
Thank you God for not making me a woman.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank you, God. Where's the idea in there? Where's the idea?
All the so-called
Thank you, God.
Bless are you.
Translated properly by rule.
שלא עשני אישה.
Blessed
Bless he God.
Yeah,
ברוך, לא, בלי בעתה. ברוך שלא עשני אישה. You don't say even the name of God. זה
I
ברוך
do.
שלא, no,
It's in
you
two
don't say ברוך
brackets.
אתה השם אלוקי מלך העולם שלא עשני אישה. You don't say. You say
It's
ברוך.
into brackets in Sephardic we do.
Okay. Sephardi, we don't say ברוך אתה השם. No, Rav Ovadia says not to say your name.
Well, in my
Yeah, but
The
Rabbi
question
Ovadia.
is he a big enough rabbi?
Okay,
Well,
moving
Don't
along.
speak about rabbis. Don't want to be infected. Sorry.
Moving right along. What was the question?
How is he feeling about it?
It's not thank you, God, that makes me.
Bless him.
He's mediating on
Baruch,
this
Baruch,
cough.
bless him.
Yeah, but that's not thank you.
No, but bless him that made me a woman. That didn't make me a no. Sorry, I was wrong. Baruch atah שלא עשה לי אישה. The woman says ברוך שלא עשה לי אישה. Sorry, I was wrong. Sorry. In the light of the heat of the moment. No, I knew. Okay, so Brad and Michelle, I prepared a sort of activity for the first one, נשים דעתן קלה, so in resources pages, and for this it's just me talk, but I know that only.
Do we want small fireworks or big fireworks?
Big fireworks.
Sorry, boss, can I see that a bit? My legs are killing me. So, vote. What do you want to do?
Well, something that's going to be short because our staff is going to
Okay,
vote.
so it's not going to be short.
So give the highlights.
Okay, so you know what? I'd like to talk about Horia. Okay, so because it's a connection to my next shoe. So it's נשים דעתם קלה. Sorry, I decided although אחרי רבים להטות, I gave a veto. Okay, so what you're going to do is...
Democratic, vote myself.
I'm not democratic. So, to continue what we just spoke about, the Torah is not laughing or not the right word about the intellectual ability of the woman. She doesn't say that a woman cannot do things like a man can do. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of liability. And Rashi Rashi gives a legend and Agadah about the Gemara. Now, there is argument, some of them said it's only a legend and it's not true. But on it, they give a lot of interpretation. But let's see what we can learn from it. So the story is, and I have to apologize, but most of my sources are in Hebrew, and I was hoping that there is Israeli, and there is only Ayala that can translate. Because I just couldn't find it in English.
She meant only the Israeli that.
No, because she.
That's right. Not only
But she can read Hebrew and understand everything.
Yes.
Sorry, very good, but sorry.
He's only a man.
I apologize for it. So the story is about Rabbi Meir and his wife Gloria. And Gloria, just to know about her, Gloria was one of the scholar women, like Rashi's daughters. She was the daughter of Rabbi Hanina ben Teradion. He was one of the 10 of Arugei Malchut that were killed by the Romans because of keeping the Torah. He was one of the leaders, and he was on the Sanhedrin. So she lived and heard a 24/7 Torah all day. And some of the rabbis said, and you will really hear, that she could learn 300 halachot in a day. So she, and one of the legends said that she used to hide under the table and listen to her father's talking with the Chachamim and learn from them as a little girl. So she married Rabbi Meir, that is very, very famous. And sorry? Okay, yes. And he's very, very famous and a very controversial but a character too, both of them. So the story is that she was laughing about the Chachamim, that they said that a woman, her mind is light. So she can be influenced in everything. And they said that the mind, that she understood their things as they are, they're called mezalzel. הבינה את דבריהם כזלזול המופנה כלפי אנשים.
What she understood they're saying is
Not laughing,
putting down women.
Mocking them. Great, thank you. And she thought that they mean that the women are not serious, they can't understand, and you can't accept anything from them on the intellectual area. So she said, so, okay, now, according to what I can do, and everybody knew that she is a scholar, and she was even called, they considered her one of the Tanaim. Tana is one of the teachers, one of the rabbis, because she was on a position like a rabbi, and she even taught in a yeshiva. She even taught behind a curtain, but she taught in a yeshiva. So there is a lot of stories about Bura, but we're going to talk about it on my next lecture. And no, and to understand what she was saying, I wanted to divide it into two groups. One of the groups is the one that says against what I said now, Mashim Datan Salah, and one group gave the sources of how Judaism treated the woman as not superior, but a very, very smart woman, and then we can do it, but it's too late.
Right. Well, can we read it in 5 minutes each? Okay.
Yes, I can give it just
Next time.
What? Do you prefer next one?
next time.
Give more.
It's a democratic vote.
Women count?
Okay, it's a long one. Okay, better to save it. I don't want to do it in a rush.
No,
It's a long
Properly, yeah, save it. Do it properly, yeah.
So,
And can I say, if I was going to do it properly on the night that Margolis is speaking, so we're actually going to start earlier and finish earlier, so it won't be like a break in the middle. Efrat's going to speak for 1 hour and 15 minutes, and then we'll have to finish earlier for Margolis.
And I'm going to talk about women and learning Torah.
Which one?
Yeah.
That's at the end of
So
May.
you might specify.
So, is there anything you want to say in conclusion for tonight?
In conclusion for tonight, you just have to look around you. Women can do anything. For example, there is a lot of progress by, we talked about Abuna, that there is a women's advocate. Women can be educated in a Beit Din. It started, I think, 30 years ago. 30 years ago, a woman could not be an advocate in a Beit Din and could ask her and talk for the women. So there was no mouth to the women. They were really lonely and they couldn't talk. And for divorce too, not just for Aguna. Today, women, there is a lot of yeshiva for women. Women study Torah all the time, and they're really scholars. And I think I heard even a talk about why a woman couldn't be a dayan or a rabbi. So there is a progress, and they do talk about it, but to decide on it, it's again, if we go to our former topic, it's not us to decide. But for myself, I decide. Like I decide for herself, I decide for myself. Of course, I try not to cross the borders, and I do things according to halakha. And I said even now, I got a permission to talk in front of men and women, and usually I don't do it. Because of course they shy about it. Usually I don't, but there is a purpose. So, sometimes you need to do the opposite to get something else. So, but it's with a permission from a rabbi. So I didn't do it only because I felt I wanted to do it.
Did Rabbi Alima give you permission or his rabbi?
I asked my rabbi. I have a private rabbi, but my private rabbi has his own rabbi too. And yes, our rabbi. Yes. So that's why I give my lessons, my Bible lessons only for women. So if you want to come tomorrow for my Bible class, we're going to talk about Abigail, the prophetess, and it's going to be 10 o'clock in my house. So you're invited. Sorry, only women.
Thank you very much,
And just to collect, if you're not going to use the papers, please return it because it's...
Next week, movie night with Jacob. We're going to be